So welcome to the first day in my 12 days of Christmas on my channel. Starting from today until Christmas Eve, going to be a video a day about a different show that I've reacted to on my channel, or a show that just means a lot to me in various different ways. I narrowed it down to 12, picked the names out randomly, and that's kind of how the order came about. So it's kind of, there's not really a logic to what shows I'm doing when, it's just how they got picked out of a hat, basically. And I'm quite glad that this actually ended up being for day one, because the show for today is Doctor Who. You can probably guess from the title. And it's my favourite show of all time. In terms of like consistency and quality, I'd give it to Agents of S.H.I.E.L.D. as my favourite. But for the sheer passion it ignited in me, and my love for TV shows, my love for acting, everything like that, you know, Doctor Who's always going to have that place in my heart, because it can be so many different genres at once, and I just think it's one of the greatest creations ever, and I think that's why it's spanned for, you know, over 55 years at this point. What was it this year? It was like 56 years, I think, this year. Nuts, just nuts. But so well deserved, and it had to be a show that I celebrated because it's a show that means so much to me and has taken up such a huge chunk of my life, particularly since I was 9, way back when, 14 years ago, when the show came back. But even before then, I had a history of Doctor Who. I watched a lot of the classic stuff anyway, because my dad was a big fan, my granddad was a big fan, so I always grew up knowing of Doctor Who. And then when it came back, it was a very exciting time in our house, and that's when it really took over my life, and it hasn't stopped since. You know, some people kind of waver, some people, you know, grow apart from Doctor Who. I don't know if he can ever really grow out of it, because I think it can appeal to so many different kind of people and ages. Maybe some things just aren't to your taste sometimes, so you kind of distance yourself from it in that respect. Stuff like that. But, you know, I've consistently loved it, and I think I always will, for sure. And I think it's inspiring that we have this show about change, really. I know there's time travel and all sorts, and that's kind of inspiring in itself. You never know when you're going to tune in every single episode where exactly you're going to go, and I find that so fascinating and wonderful. And this concept of this character who can change their face is just brilliant. And then having these companions that come and go, and these really iconic villains, you know, particularly being British. You grow up knowing Doctor Who is part of like a staple of the culture, really. So the fact that, you know, it's basically in my DNA right from the start, I think I was kind of destined to love this show. And I do. I did some reviews for the first few episodes of season 10, or series 10 I should say, way back when, and then last year I did reactions to series 11 with my friend Connor. We also did the New Year's special resolution at the start of this year, and I hope to continue doing reactions as the show continues, and I'm very, very excited about series 12, and that's kind of going to form a big part of this video. But first of all, I'm actually going to do a short kind of reaction to like a Doctor Who fan video that got made, like a Doctor Who edit, that I've heard good things about. I'm going to check it out, because I think this sort of ties into what Christmas means to me, and I kind of wanted to make Doctor Who and Christmas have that link. I could have done something about like Christmas specials or whatever, but I've always had this idea in mind for what I wanted the main part of this video to be, and I thought this would be a perfect time to do it. So we're going to start with the reaction, and then we're going to get into what I want from series 12 of Doctor Who, when it starts on New Year's Day. Just a couple of weeks now, very, very exciting. And the reason I'm doing the reaction part first, I thought I'd do a few reactions throughout this 12 days. It's not all going to be reactions, but since I'm mainly a reaction channel, I know I wanted a few sprinkled along these 12 days. But aside from that, I may be delving into like some spoiler territory in terms of my discussions of what I want to see in series 12 in relation to the trailers, in relation to set photos, etc. So if people want to go into Series 12 completely clean, they can at least watch the reaction portion of this video first and then just switch off. But if you are, you know, not too afraid, I guess, of potential spoilers from set photos and stuff, watch the whole thing and enjoy, hopefully, we'll see. But I'm going to do a reaction first. It's by, I've written the name down, Slifer2812, I think is their name. I'm going to link the video in the description anyway, so you can check it out and give it some love. And it's called The One We've Lost, I believe. And I think, based on the thumbnail and stuff, it kind of relates to a line that the 13th Doctor said in The Woman Who Fell to Earth. One of my favourite lines, probably in Doctor Who, honestly, when she's talking about her family and the people she's lost. And she says, you know, they may be gone from the world, but they're never gone from me. And I just really, really love that line. And I think, at least for me, Christmas is kind of a time where you think about the people who are no longer with you. And you kind of celebrate them and you miss them even more around this time of year where the family always gets together kind of without fail. You're always going to miss those few people that are no longer with them, you know, no longer with us. And I feel like this video could kind of celebrate that, because the Doctor's a character almost defined by their losses. On so many occasions they've lost like, friends and lovers and family, worlds on occasions, and home. It is Doctor Who, I think, is a show defined by change and defined by loss. And because I almost relate that to Christmas in a kind of bittersweet way, I thought this would be an appropriate video to watch and react to for the first part of this video. So I've already rambled enough, let's get into it. Oh, we're starting with my favourite, so that's good. I really loved Clara. I know she wasn't like everyone's favourite, but... And 11, he was my favourite too.
How many times have you died?
Cybermen, my favourites. Wow, great start.
Different ways. Why?
I love that shot.
Why did you do this?
And I think you might be scared. And however scared you are, Clara, the man you are with right now, the man I hope you are with, believe me, he is more scared than anything you can imagine right now.
You're gonna be alone now.
Oh, fuck that episode. Ugh.
You're gonna be furious and you're gonna be sad. But listen to me. Don't let this change you. Don't travel alone.
Things end. That's all. But times change. So
Oh, I like how they're linking all this.
As always sad.
I love this line as well, the speech.
Somewhere. This is it. The end of the road. The end of everything. I will shatter you. My testament will shatter all of you. A life this long. Do you understand what it is? It's a battlefield, like this one. And it's empty. Because everyone else has fallen.
Man.
Have you got family?
Here we go.
No. Lost them a long time ago.
Oh, man.
What's cool with that?
Oh, man. Oh,
Carry on
man.
with me. What they would have
Oh,
thought
Clara's theme.
and said and done. Make them a part of who I am.
Scene.
So even though they're gone from the world, they're never gone from me.
Oh, such a good line.
You said memories
Become stories when we forget them.
when we forget them.
Maybe some of them become songs.
Oswald got inside my head. Trust me. We will sing to you, Doctor. The universe will sing you to your sleep.
That's also a very good line.
It's time to go.
Remember what you're leaving.
Remember what you're leaving.
Remember the best.
Remember the best. My friends have always been the best of you.
Doctor, it's time. Do not go gentle into that good night.
I let you go.
I love that, the last line. Oh, that speech. Oh, I really love that episode.
You can clear off, get back in your lonely place and don't come back.
I've been standing by the gates of your world, keeping you all safe since you crawled out of this life. I'm not stopping now. This is the day everything begins. Never be cruel, never be cowardly, and never ever eat pears. I'm the doctor.
There really are some amazing shots in this show.
It's always foolish.
Oh, that's my favourite episode, Doctor's Wife.
Doctor, passing through, helping out, learning.
I know exactly who I am. I'm the Doctor.
Oh, yeah, I think the person who made this lost their dog, which is so sad. Time to live and a time to sleep. That's such a nice quote as well to end it on. I thought that was so brilliantly done. The way they kind of tied in. It was kind of about what I thought it would be about. Just thinking about the people you've lost along the way and the people who are no longer with you or no longer part of your life. Maybe if they haven't, passed away. You might have just grown apart from people, and that happens. That's kind of a very natural part of life as well. Sad as it is, but everything begins again too. And I like that hopefulness, because it wasn't like a complete melancholy video, it wasn't just sad, feels, cry. I think there were a few moments of hopefulness in there as well, in the clips they used, and the focus on the regeneration energy throughout the video as well, which is kind of a big sign of being reborn and starting again, having that fresh new start, moving forward, but also looking back, which is a very big thing, I think, in Doctor Who. And I really like that. I think that was a really nice kind of balance that they had there of the sad and the hopeful, which I think Christmas can be, both of those things. And I just really like how that kind of all tied in, and I get quite sentimental like that. I'm a very sentimental person, and I think Doctor Who can be quite sentimental as well in that sense, and just had some killer lines over the years, and I really love the kind of clips they chose to make this with, and yeah, all the different lines they focused on. So well done. That was brilliant, and the way it's kind of a tribute to their pet passing away as well, adds to that kind of bittersweetness. And I'm very sorry for your loss if you are watching this, Slifer. I don't know if you'll find it, but that was brilliantly done, and that was kind of a way of tying it into how I see Christmas sometimes, with very strong themes of Doctor Who, which is why I think it's always nice to get a Doctor Who special over the festive period, be it Christmas or New Year. Lately, I like that's kind of a tradition now. It always used to be when I thought of Christmas Day, I thought of Doctor Who, and I was like, oh, it's Doctor Who's on today. And that's not really changed much as I've gotten older, to be honest. Probably never will. I always get excited. So yeah, I just thought that was a kind of a nice video to bridge the gap between it being Christmas time and also talking about Doctor Who, a show I love very, very deeply. So that's the kind of reaction period of this video, and now I'm going to be talking about what I want to see in Series 12. So I actually made a list of all the things I wanted to see in Series 12 quite a while ago now, and obviously we've had trailers and announcements since then, so I can like directly address some of the things I want, because I know I may potentially be getting them in Series 12, which is very exciting. So yeah, if you want to be completely blind to any spoilers or whatever for Series 12, maybe skip the rest of this video, but thanks for stopping by regardless. But yeah, this is what I want to see from Series 12 of Doctor Who, starring this lovely lady right here, Jodie Whittaker, who I think is doing such a great job, and I can't wait to see more of her. And we'll get on to that a bit later on, but the first thing I want to see in Series 12 is two-parters, or maybe like multi-part stories. And spoiler alert, we're getting it. So that's a kind of big thing I really wanted from the series, already ticked off, and I'm very, very happy about that, because they have confirmed that the first story back, the opener of Series 12, is actually a two-part story called Spyfall. We're getting part 1 on New Year's Day, and then I think it's 4 days later, I think it's on the 5th, Sunday, the Sunday after, we are getting part 2. And I'm very, very excited to get like a two-part story again. I don't know if that's going to be the only one of the series. We might get more than one two-parter, who knows. Even when like Capaldi's like first season, we didn't get many two-parters, but we did get like a two-part finale, which I thought was fine. I was more than happy with that. I mean, I quite like having at least a two-part finale, even if the rest of the episodes are just like single stories. But the fact that we're kicking off with a two-part is pretty cool. I've liked when they've done it in the past with Series 6 and Series 9. So yeah, I'm very, very excited that we're going to be getting the classic staple of Doctor Who since it ever, began, is the cliffhanger. So to see them come back for Series 12 is going to be very, very exciting, and that also allows the stories to be fleshed out a bit more. We have a bit more time to get to know the characters and the world that they're kind of setting up across, multiple episodes, which I think does benefit stories greatly a lot of the time in Doctor Who. So I'm very, very excited that we're going to be getting two-parters, and hopefully I would like to see more than one two-parter throughout the series. I know there's only 10 episodes, so maybe if it's just an opening two-parter and then a two-parter to close the series, that would be really, really nice, and I'm hoping that's going to be the case. So the next thing I really, really want to see from Series 12 is more historical stories, which I can't believe I'm saying, because sometimes I'm not that keen on them sometimes. There are like big exceptions, like The Unquiet Dead I absolutely adore, and I liked, I think, every single historical we got in Series 11, which is why I want to see more of them in Series 12, because that's clearly something that this new format, this new like showrunner and this new production team is doing quite well. I think the strongest episodes for me last season were the historicals. I loved Rosa, that was my favourite of the entire series. I loved the Witchfinders, which is why there's a picture of it now. Alan Cumming giving like the greatest Doctor Who guest performance ever. I absolutely loved him, and I hope we see him again in Doctor Who Sunday, reprising that role. And Demons of the Punjab I thought was fantastic as well. So they did great stuff with like the historical stories, and I'm hoping we get the same again. Obviously I do want to see a mix of like stories set in the future, some on present day as well, just like normal. But as long as we see a decent amount, of historical stories as well, I'd be over the moon with that. And from like some of the rumours, it seems we're almost certainly going to be getting some historicals. So over the moon, very, very excited to see what they're going to be doing with those in Series 12. So the third thing I really want to see in Series 12 is the return of more classic villains that we haven't actually seen yet in New Who. The definitive example of that is the picture I've used, which is the Sea Devils, who I really, really love, and would really like to see come back in the new series at some point. Maybe with not as much of a drastic redesign as like the Silurians got. I'd like them to keep quite faithful to, the original design, and given the Series 12 trailer, a lot of people speculated that one of the creatures we saw in that was a Sea Devil. I'm not so sure, but that's only because if that is the redesigned Sea Devils, I'm not really a big fan of what they've done with it. But we'll have to wait and see. They could win me over if they really are Sea Devils, but we've had like Daleks, we've had Cybermen, we've had Silurians, we've had Sontarans, we've had Autons, we've had Davros, we've had loads and loads of classic villains come back and get revamped to varying degrees of success. And I'd love Series 12 to at least have one episode where a villain from the classic series returns in a big way, and we have yet to have seen them in the new series. I think that could be really, really cool and exciting. A great way of like referring to the past of the show and celebrating the past of the show without feeling like overly fan servicey, I guess. In like, oh, the Daleks are back again, oh, the Cybermen are back again, even though I never really complain when they do come back because I love seeing them. The Cybermen are my favourite villains in Doctor Who. But it would be cool to kind of see like a fresh take on an old monster we haven't yet seen since the show came back. And the Sea Devils would be my number one pick for that, but there'll be plenty of other ones I'd like to see. So maybe Series 12 has a few surprises in store for us in terms of that. I think that could be really, really cool. And the fourth thing I'd really like to see in Series 12 is a darker side to the 13th Doctor. I really like that 13 is quite light-hearted and bubbly, and quite joyous in that sense. I really want them to stick to that side of the character because they've established that quite well, I think. But I would like a moment, like we get with most Doctors, they have a really dark edge to them sometimes, and they can like get really angry and just shout, get really serious about stuff. And I don't think we were completely without that in Series 11. She definitely had some moments where she'd be like, holy shit. But I'd like them to kind of really show us the fury of the Time Lord, which I know is an overused phrase talking about this kind of thing, but it is kind of accurate to what I want to see. I want to see a bit of grit to the 13th Doctor. I really want to see her kind of be tested, and see how far she's willing to go, We had like the Time Lord victorious, we had Capaldi's Doctor be quite grumpy at times and go too far in trying to save Clara. We had 11, at Demon's Run, that speech he gives to Colonel Manton and just loses it. I'd love to see something like that and to be almost afraid of 13. Not all the time, obviously. I think they could easily run with this like funny, bubbly personality that they're going with, and I think that's a nice direction to go with. But I think we need to see a bit more side to this Doctor to become more like a layered and complex character. I don't think we've quite got there yet in terms of the writing, so I'm hoping Series 12 gives her a lot of moments to really shine and show just how awesome Jodie can be as a dramatic actor as well. I think that could be really, really cool to see a darker side to 13 and see her be tested in a different way that we didn't really quite see in Series 11. And the fifth thing I want to see in Series 12 is more development for Yaz. I think she was kind of the companion and the character out of the core four that got left behind in Series 11. Even when we were supposed to have episodes centred around her, like Demons of the Punjab, it was more about her family. We didn't actually learn a lot about her. I'd love to see a Yaz-centric episode or two in Series 12, really get to know her. Maybe have scenes where it's just her and the Doctor for a bit on their own. We can learn a bit more about her. Because obviously the whole Graham and Ryan storyline did get a lot of focus in Series 11, and I really liked that, and I really like those two, and I feel like I have a really good sense of who those two characters are. I just don't think we quite know Yaz enough yet, and I think that's definitely a general consensus. So I'm hoping, the production team and everything have kind of listened to a lot of comments about Series 11, taken that on board, and given Yaz a lot of more screen time and a lot of a chance to shine, so we can see a bit more about what really makes her tick. I think that could be really, really cool, and I'm hoping we are getting that. I'm particularly intrigued in the trailer with the little clip of her crying, what that could be about. I'm very, very intrigued, and I'm hoping they really are going to put a spotlight on Yaz so we can really get to know her and love her. So yeah, I think it's desperately needed, and that's definitely, I think, one of the most important things I want from Series 11. Series 12 even. Let's really get to know Yaz, because we really don't know that much yet. The sixth thing I want to see from Series 12 is for this family unit they established in Series 11 to really be tested against each other, to see their relationships be put through the ringer almost, and see if they can come out stronger from the other side, because I just think it's a bit almost too happy right now with these four. They get on really, really well, and I like that. But I really want to see them be tested, and maybe see the companions see this new side to the Doctor and be like, oh, I'm not quite sure about this. Maybe you need to keep this side of you in check. Or maybe vice versa. Maybe the Doctor finds something out about one of her companions that she doesn't like, and she's kind of thinking, should I be letting you travel with me? I think that could be an interesting thing. I just want to see this family unit, and the big theme of Series 11 was family. in terms of Graham and Ryan, and just the whole kind of group kind of feeling like a family by the end of the series. I'd like to see that be tested and not just be like easy going for them, because I don't think like traveling through time and space would be particularly easy and stress free. Spending all your time with these like 3 other people in this group. I'd love to see that like dynamic kind of be quite tested in a serious way, and I think we might be getting that with something that kind of relates to my next and final point as well. But when the Doctor's talking about in the trailer, like, something's coming for me, and they're all like, we're going to be by your side for this and fight it, whatever happens. Maybe they're not going to like exactly what this is going to reveal about the Doctor, whatever's coming for her. If this is like a major thing and not just like a 1 episode kind of arc. So if that's a direction they take with that, I'd be really, really happy, because I do want to see the bond strengthened even further with these kind of group of characters. And I think the way of doing that is like testing them and pushing their boundaries and, really pushing their limits. So I think that could be a really interesting direction for Series 12 to take. And then the 7th and final thing I want from Series 12, not that there really was like a specific order, it's not really like number 1 is the one I wanted the most or anything, I just listing them. But yeah, the final thing is a story arc. Now, I didn't really like miss the story arc that terribly in Series 11, but I do think now we've established this new Doctor, these new companions, this new kind of take with this like brand new era for the show, I think it's time to really see what storytelling can come from this and see what Christian was made of in terms of doing like a season-long arc or something. It could be something a bit simple like Bad Wolf, or Torchwood, Missing Planets, Vote Snacks and stuff like that. Or it could be something in like the Matt Smith era and beyond, Cracks in Time, Silence, etc, etc. I'd like to see something like that in Series 12. I know a lot of people don't like the really convoluted stuff from Series 6 onwards, but I think, it kind of made sense in the end. I was kind of felt the payoff was there, and Stephen Moffat was supposed to he thought he was going to get another season, to wrap things up with Matt Smith and have a whole season on Trenzor. It ended up not happening. So I think he did a good job with Time with the Doctor in the end. And I actually prefer these multi-series arcs and that kind of story arc compared to like Bad Wolf. Is it a story arc? Is it just words appearing and then we get an explanation without getting many hints along the way as to what it could really be? And I'm going to get some hate for that, but I still, I enjoy the story arcs as well. So I'd like to maybe see a balance between the two of them, take the best of both for Series 12, and I don't know if we're going to get that. Again, relating to my last point, in the trailers, the Doctor said something's coming for me. Is that going to be a series-long arc? That'd be really, really cool if it is. I'm very excited to find out if that's going to be the case. Even something like The Vault in Series 10 for like the first half of that was enough to really interest me. And I just think it could be like an interesting way of showing that this era of Doctor Who doesn't really mean business and can do anything previous eras of the show have been able to pull off, this story arcs and stuff like that, So yeah, we're going to have to see if that is going to be the case. If not, I don't think it's the end of the world, because like I said, with Series 11, we had kind of an arc with like Graham and Ryan and stuff going on like that. I didn't entirely miss the series arc. I would have liked one. But I think for Series 12 now really is the time to bring it back into like the format of the show, and I think that could be really, really cool if we do get it. And signs are pointing to that potentially happening. I know a lot of people kind of got annoyed with Series 11 for not having a proper story arc, and they like lapped onto the Timeless Child thing in the Ghost Monument. Honestly, I never thought that was going to be a story arc. It's just another name for the Doctor. Like, when Eccleston first said, "Oh, you call me the oncoming storm in the Dalek homeworld," no one was crying out for, "Oh, how did he get that nickname? Is that going to be like a story arc? Are we going to see that?" and stuff like that. There wasn't really that expectation, and then suddenly there was that expectation for Timeless Child, and it got a bit out of hand, I think. But I think that craving needs to be satisfied for those kind of people in Series 12 who felt a bit robbed, I think, that it wasn't a series arc, and I can completely understand why. So yeah, fingers crossed for a story arc in Series 12. I think that could be really, really cool. So that's going to be everything for this first video on my 12 Days of Christmas. I hope you enjoyed the reaction. Obviously I'll link the video in the description, and let me know what you want to see from Series 12 of Doctor Who when it starts on New Year's Day. And yeah, obviously be wary of like spoilerific stuff in the comments in case people are going to check those out and don't want to be spoiled or something like that. But yeah, are you excited for Series 12 and what we've seen so far? You know, what are your hopes for it? What are your worries about it even? You know, we can talk about that as well. I'm really, really excited for it. I think it's looking really, really good, and I'm very, very excited to see what they're going to be doing with it. And it's not long now, and it's very, very exciting. We've kind of survived this whole year with only one episode of Doctor Who. So I think it's going to be really, really exciting. I can't wait to see what they've got in store for us for Series 12. But yeah, this was my kind of mini Christmas celebration of Doctor Who. And I will see you again tomorrow for day 2.